And sorry, I forgot to hit record. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Stella Jordan. I'm the Public Engagement Program Manager at the Boston Region MPO. Welcome to our November 13th meeting of the Regional Transportation Advisory Council. I will just take us through a couple of notices. So first, I'll read our notice of non-discrimination. You are invited to participate in our transportation planning process, regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, veteran status, or background. You can read the full notice of your rights and protections at www.bostonmpo.org/mpo_discrimination. Our accessibility statement: this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA standards, and revised Section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in this meeting, or if you have any technical difficulties, please contact me, Stella Jordan, at sjordan@ctps.org, or at 857-702-3675, or via the Zoom chat box. I'll read through a few guidelines. All participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. You may mute and unmute yourselves, but please remain muted unless you're actively speaking. And to participate in the discussion, please select the raised hand function. You can find this by either clicking on the participants button at the bottom of the screen, and a window will pop up with a raised hand button at the bottom, or in the reactions button in the toolbar, and the chair will call on you. And if you're joining by phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. And I just also want to say this goes for kind of our housekeeping business, but this meeting will also include kind of a more open, unstructured discussion. So please feel free to just jump in and have a conversation during that time. I don't want us to feel confined by having to raise our hands. But with that, I'll turn it back over to you for introductions, Andy.
Great. Because we do have a little bit of an unstructured kind of agenda later, I did want to get some use of that raised hand function for now so we can organize the introductions a little bit better. Instead of calling on folks, actually, I was wondering if folks, as soon as they're ready, could just hit that raise hand feature, and we'll go by the order of raised hands. But I'll just introduce myself again real quick while folks find that raised hand button from members of the RTAC. I am Andy Reeker. Again, I am at the City of Cambridge as a transit program manager, and I'm the vice chair of the RTAC. So I will go to AC first.
Anna Christina Pigoso. I'm with the Boston Society of Civil Engineers.
Great. Len's after that, and then Owen.
B.
Yeah, Len, it's you.
Okay, sorry. So yes, Leonard Diggins, chair, and I am on the MET Rider Oversight Committee.
I think other folks can see the raised hand, hopefully. I think it's Owen, John, and then Tyler after that.
Owen McDonald, Town of Weymouth.
John Seward, Move Mass.
And we have Steve.
Sorry, Steve Owen, representing the Trick subregion.
And then Fred.
Hey, Fred Mosley, American Council of Engineering Companies.
Great. And then I think we may have some members of the public or from other organizations joining us. If you'd like to introduce yourself, now would be the opportunity to do so.
Sarah Lee from Massport is here.
Great. Good to hear your voice, Sarah. I think that's almost everybody other than MPO staff. Would folks at MPO staff just also like to say hello too?
And I'm saying hello too. This is Franny. Franny Osmond.
Also, this is Tyler Tarasi from the MWRTA.
Great. Good to see you, Franny. Good to hear you, Tyler. We'll go to Tegan.
I'll just kick off staff introductions then, I guess. I'm Tegan Tyke, Executive Director of the Boston Region MPO staff.
I'm Sean Rourke. I'm the manager of the Communications and Engagement Group at the MPO.
I'm Ethan Lapointe. I'm the Transportation Improvement Program Manager with the MPO.
Hi everyone, I'm Gia. I'm the Public Engagement Coordinator.
Great. I think that is everybody. Thank you all for doing your own introductions this afternoon. I think the next item on the agenda is also on the next slide. So that would be public comments. If somebody would like to make a public comment in today's meeting, I think if you could raise your virtual hand. I don't think there's a lot of folks. I think it was just Sarah, if I remember correctly, that might be a member of the public here. But if Sarah, you would like to make a comment, otherwise I think we'll have move on to the next agenda item after that.
If I could just make a quick one. I know this is an important meeting for a lot of folks on this call. And I know this is maybe an opportunity that I can just say thank you to the members, the current members of RTEC who have been very interested and engaged with our freight issues and have taken multiple tours. We've been happy to host you at Conley Terminal. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm just so appreciative that people are aware and interested in many of the issues that we're working on here in the planning office at Massport. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that we can continue to work together in the future. And please don't hesitate to reach out if I can be helpful in the future. I'll put my contact info in the chat. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. That's actually a really wonderful, sweet way to start the meeting and not your typical public comment. So I appreciate that. I think with that, then we can probably go to the next slide, which is approval of the meeting minutes from October 9th. These were posted to the MPO website before the meeting. So hopefully folks had a chance to at least take a quick glance at them. But is there any quick discussion? If not, maybe if we can get a motion and then a second.
I'll move we accept the minutes.
So that's a motion from Fred. Len, you have your hand raised.
I'll second that.
Great. Thanks, Len. I guess with that, then Stella, it's a roll call, right?
Yep. Thank you both. All right, Len Diggins. I can circle back. Andy Reeker.
Yes.
Okay. Fred Mosley.
Yes.
John Seward.
Abstain.
Owen McDonald.
Yes.
Franny Osmond.
Yes.
Anna Cristina Fregoso.
I'll abstain.
Okay. And Len, were you able to come off mute?
Yeah, sorry about that. It was telling me that my hand had been lowered when you were calling my name, so I didn't hear you call my name. Yes.
No worries. All right. Thank you. Well, that motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you, Stella. I guess then that means we can move on to the next agenda item and the next slide. I will turn it over to Len to start with some remarks.
Sure. Well, thank you, Andy. You did a great job. So I think if you have to fill in for me, actually, we'll be filling in, for me tomorrow at the MPO meeting, the board meeting, at least for a half-hour meeting. So we'll be in great hands. Folks, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I'm not one for long remarks, but I do like to express my gratitude, to folks. And so I thank all of the members of the advisory council, for since I got on the council, from the beginning through now, it's been a real fulfilling experience. And I especially want to thank Tegan, for encouraging me to run for chair. And David Montgomery isn't here, but I want to thank him also because he also encouraged me to run for chair, and he's also been like a real source of support. I mean, he had a lot of history with the council, so whenever I had questions, especially early on, I would reach out to him to get advice. And he was just always willing to talk with me and impart a lot of knowledge that helped me like make decisions, and determine how to do things. So he's not here, but at least in absence, I wanted to express my appreciation to him. So unfortunately, folks, I'm on the road, I need to get back home so that I can partake in MBTA advisory board meeting that starts at 4. For some reason, they decided to do a meeting today, during on the day that we tend to meet. So I'm gonna take off, but thank you everybody, and enjoy the rest of the meeting. It's a small world, it's a small region. I'm sure we'll be running into each other on various occasions. So thank you everyone, take care.
Thank you, Len. I guess we can, Tegan, would you like to start with some reflections and other comments as well too?
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun and raising my hand, but I'm so eager to talk after Len talks as well. He set the stage nicely, but certainly in my role, sorry, the screen just changed on me. Certainly in my role as the executive director of the staff now, I also wanted to express, my thanks and appreciation for this group. I hope you all either remember or know by now if you weren't there when I was there, but I have a pretty solid understanding of the important role that this group has. And what the role that it's played over the last 10 years. My tenure on the advisory council also kicked off with a conversation with David Montgomery when I had been attending the advisory council for, I don't know, maybe not even quite a year. I can't quite remember. And so I have those 4 years of chairing, and then also the 5 years while Len's been chairing this group. And I've been able to interact with you all in my current role, my new role as the executive director of the MPO staff. So I have a pretty great sense about what it is that you all have been able to do and accomplish. And I really feel privileged to be celebrating here with you today. And I'm grateful that you've given me space since I've taken on this role as well with you all to be able to talk about what my goals have been with the MPO staff, the direction that we've been working towards together, and to sort of share that and discuss it with this body as you have been meeting. But I also wanted to say that, I really want to acknowledge a couple of key things around sort of the impact that you've had over the last several years, not only in supporting and being interested in this exploration of best practices for how this body can better influence and continue to influence sort of the MPO process going forward. You've just accomplished a lot over the last couple of years, and just a few things to just reminisce about or thinking about. You had a really heavy role, I would say a really important role in the development of Destination 2050, the last long range plan. You went through a series of workshops to help sort of guide the vision, goals, and objectives. And then you did quite a multi-meeting deep dive into the needs assessment to really understand what was in the needs assessment and contribute to how that assessment can be kind of impactful in both stating the needs of the region, but also how to really address municipal and local challenges that are embedded in those needs, and how to move forward with removing barriers, funding projects, and just in general improving the MPO process. That has been a really impactful part of what you've been able to do as a group. You've also been so committed to really providing deep kind of input into the process of the MPOs developing these individual discrete studies through the UPWP development. And you've given really in-depth and thoughtful feedback to staff on the priorities for those studies, and also helped us to kind of craft those studies to make sure that they can be responsive as possible to regional needs, and also commented on, when they've been completed, how that can help inform ongoing and future work programs. So I just want to really appreciate, this is only a sampling of the work that you've, put in over these last years. But again, just kind of appreciate that, at least at that level. And just also say that, with the commitment and the focus that you've given all these things, and with Len's sort of representative voice on the board, you've helped show how a body like this can have impact. And we really appreciate how you've also then thought about and looked at how this body can move forward in structure that is truly inclusive of diverse perspectives. So all that to be said, I am looking forward to continuing to work with any and all of you as you do wish to continue to engage with the MPO, albeit in different formats. Our goal is to create, as many spaces, both for those who are already willing and able to come to the MPO process, which I would say you all sort of represent very, very well. And as well as, of course, those that we have so far less engaged in the process. So I thank you for playing the role of the formal and for supporting the exploration of how we can transition bodies like this into the latter. So again, many thanks. I'm looking forward to more conversations. I hope as many of you as possible can also attend the annual meeting tomorrow. That's a really exciting time for the board to get the MPO full policy board to get together and think about how we can work together to accomplish our goals moving forward. And if I see you in person, that would be lovely. And if not, I look forward to continuing to see you in different formats in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Tegan, for that recognition, I think, of everything that's been happening here at the RTAC. That was actually really meaningful, and it actually spurred some of my own thoughts about what I want to share as far as reflections. But I wanted to see if anybody was raring to go. I actually have a couple reflections that I'm starting to think about and willing to share. But if anybody is so moved, feel free to unmute. And then I think this is really a time where we want to give space for everybody to share kind of some of the reflections that they've had in terms of the time that you've spent here on the RTAC, and really be able to kind of put a close to that as we go through this process for creating a new body at this point, at this juncture. So not seeing anybody move to come off mute, so I'll start off. I think there's actually I'll kind of follow in Len's lead and just kind of share that there's only a few words that kind of came to my mind in thinking about my time in participating in the advisory committee, and the kind of three things that I think this group has really pushed on the MPO, and I actually take this as inspiration from my own work as a planner in the city of Cambridge, is that there's really a lot of value in iterating upon something, even if it's a normal process that happens every year. That there's a lot of value in trying to integrate as many things as possible. So if we're talking about the UPWP, the TIP, and the long-range plan, that they all integrate well together. And I see that for myself as well with neighborhood planning and citywide planning, transit planning, bike planning, all these different ways of looking at things. It really only works well together when it integrates well together. And I think this last few years, I think there's been a lot of calls for, I think, on one hand, social justice, I think on one hand, equity, social equity, but really being able to create a space that is welcoming and inclusive to all. And, it's kind of funny that it came out to be 3 I words. I know that the MPO process is 3 Cs. So in this case, I think the work has been really about these 3 Is, right? And not just the me, I, but this kind of inclusive, iterative, integrating kind of force. And so, I'm really appreciative that I've had the, at first it was actually Tegan who was like participating in this. And when Tegan had, left to take on the role at the MPO, folks in the city were like, can you go? Can you see what this is about? Can you see what's going on? And I'm really glad that I was able to learn from you all through our conversations and really take inspiration to do these 3 things in my own work as well too. So that is my reflection about participating in this advisory committee. Would somebody else feel so moved to say something next? I'll turn it over to you, Franny.
Okay, I actually am going to pull over because I was just leaving my daughter's house, who lives 2 miles from me, and I'm pulling over so I can actually just be here. So I am, in reflecting on this, I just wanted to appreciate the role that the RTAC played in raising the issues that aren't always raised. There's the usual diverse needs that need to be looked at and look at just diversity in a certain way, but there's also this geographic diversity, this variation in our whole region, from suburban and even rural to the city. And I found early on, when I was going to MPO meetings or applying for funding, for things out in the suburbs, it felt a little foreign to the MPO, or it seemed to me that I was sort of waving from beyond. And I think that RTAC has successfully kept looking at those outer reaches needs and hearing from them. Whether it's by examining what microtransit is, to looking at some of the solutions that have been done, or even inter RTA or intra hub transportation needs. I feel like there's a tendency for the big needs of the MBTA and the inner core to sort of forget about that other part of the MPO. So I just wanted to appreciate that. And I also always appreciated the education that I got from it, because I too was sort of called in. A select board member had just stopped coming to RTAC, Lauren Rosenzweig, and asked me if I would start going, and I hadn't heard of it. And so for all these years, I've been learning a lot. And I sometimes tell people it's sort of like adult ed for me, because I'm not a trained planner. And we would have presentations that I still remember them all very clearly, on everything from adding lanes to I-93 to putting GPS for studying people's transportation needs. So those were very, very helpful. So I hope that in the next iteration, that sort of both those things are included. Yeah, that's all. So thank you for everyone's work in this. I'll join up again in a couple minutes from home. I'll still be here.
Thank you, Franny. Would anyone else like to say something? Ethan.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. And first off, I wanted to thank folks here not only for the ongoing advice and oversight that's been provided over the Transportation Improvement Program, which I manage alongside my colleague Adriana and also other former colleagues here at the MPO. But I also wanted to, provide thanks for some of the advice and oversight you provide on our long-range and unified planning work program processes as well. I recognize that the document that I manage is intrinsically tied to those other activities. So while I'm sort of here on the behalf of my coworkers there today, at least in this capacity, a lot of the information that you provide, the letters that you've written, the advice and recommendations you've given on our studies, on our priorities, on specific projects has always been very much appreciated. And we will, of course, look forward to many of you, if you will still be present, engaging in all the different kinds of public comment opportunities that are available, not just when we're writing the TIP, but also when we're amending the TIP, as we're looking for ways to fix all the different projects that we're still going to be fighting to try and get dealt with this year. So again, just thank you all for that, not only my own programs, but all the other things that my team does here at the MPO and the support you provide there.
Thank you, Ethan. You've probably received a lot of our letters and other folks at the MPO staff as well too. AC next.
No, I kind of along the same lines as everyone. I really want to thank everyone. Basically for the free education I'm a transportation nerd, and it's been wonderful to see how, the intricacies of how everything goes from the planning stage to the funding stage to the construction phase stage. So this was a big hole. I do all these projects and I've always wondered, how they start, how they get funded. So I've learned immensely, and I'd love to keep seeing, people be a voice to how that money gets programmed in the future. And so that means, especially from learning from Tegan, Tegan, I want to thank you so much for getting me really into this, and you always have the perfect answers and the perfect way to answer things. So thanks a lot. And I will continue to be part of this body, however it restructures.
Thank you, AC. We have some other folks who are on. I'm wondering if you all have some reflections, even short ones, or some history that you'd like to share. I think there's a lot of wealth of knowledge in this group and a lot of experience. And, I think now is a great time to share as much as you want, or a few words if that's all you want to share too. But I'll open it up if anybody else would like to come off mute to share a reflection or some comment.
I can't currently find my raise hand button, so I'll just talk. I like the Zoom redesign is kind of throwing me off. I have to spend a couple minutes with it to find where everything went. But I just want to say that as we prepare to restructure the group, I'm excited to see how we can build on the foundation that you've all helped create. Whether it's giving us tough feedback that we need to hear and we don't get from anywhere else, or offering fresh ideas about studies, you've made sure that the MPO's plans are reflecting the real needs of the region, and you've been the voice in the room that says, hey, don't forget about the people that this is actually going to affect and how this is going to affect them. It's brought like a great like fusion of, you know, planning and sort of like human elements to the work, and that perspective is really important. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special shout out to Stella for her work in managing this group and keeping things running smoothly. She took over the administration of the group probably like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I don't know, time flies. But her efforts, combined with, you know, how engaged all of you are, have helped RTAC play an important role in the MPO's work. So thank you to Stella, and thank you to the members of RTAC who are here today.
Thank you, Sean. Knowing that other folks may also have some challenge in finding that raise hand function, if anybody would like to say something, feel free to come off mute now and say that.
Is there a timeline right now of when the next meeting may be, or how we're going to join up again?
I can jump in there. Yeah, I think so. At the last meeting, we shared kind of a slightly more detailed look ahead for what the restructuring process is going to look like. Encourage folks to go view that recording for more kind of visual and detailed information as well. But we are planning to kick off the restructured group early in the new year, likely February, March, early spring. We don't have a set date per se, but that's when we are aiming for internally. Between now and then, we'll be doing a lot of work to build up some of the new plans for that group. So things like what we want the membership structure to look like, the application process for new members, what governance is going to look like, what our meetings are going to look like. So how we can create really close connections between the meetings going ahead a year, mapping onto what the MPO is working on, so that we can really maximize the channels for the feedback to really impact the MPO's decision making and planning work. So all of that will take some time, but we are aiming for early in the new year in 2025. And I was going to mention this sort of towards the end of the meeting too, but I will just say now too, I definitely want to keep in touch with you all during this restructuring process. I'm sure you'll be hearing from me over the next couple of months. I would love to pick your brains a little bit more about how you think we can best stand up this new group, and what you think is really going to be valuable for new members coming in. Certainly, like along the lines of what you've shared today, I think it's incredibly helpful for us to hear what your experience has been, so that we can really use that to shape how we're planning. But you'll be hearing from me, and during those conversations, I think we can also talk about other ways that we can keep you involved in our work. And ultimately, we are planning to have an application process for new members, but we will certainly circulate that to this group as well, and make sure that you have opportunities to get involved in ways that work for you.
That sounds good. Sorry I made you repeat yourself. I was absent from the last meeting. That's why I abstained from the meeting. minutes, but
No problem. No, always happy to chat more about this.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, AC, and thanks for the response, Stella. Yeah, transitions are fun. They bring up a lot of stuff. Point A and point B are perfectly fine, but it's getting between those two that are always like, we want to make sure we don't lose anybody along the way either. Anybody else? I know I do see some faces still on video as well too who haven't spoken, and I don't want to call you out specifically, but I do know looking at your faces that you all made some great contributions here. But does anybody else like to say anything?
Okay, I'll say you guilted me into it, Andy. No, I'll say it's been kind of interesting for me. I come from one side of the fence on the transportation side, developing projects, pushing them through, coordinating with MassDOT. So it's kind of interesting to see things, I'll say, on the other side of the fence. The concerns more from the public side and the advocacy groups, from issues just on cost increases, schedules and delays. And for me, it's been kind of interesting seeing how it's evolved both on that side and then also seeing how MassDOT's modified their process to address those concerns. So it adds, sitting there seeing new directives from MassDOT on the complete streets requirements and a lot of the planning work we have to do up front now to get projects through. I understand a little bit more how it's addressing public concerns. So it's been kind of, I'd say, well-rounding on my end from my experience.
Great. Thank you, Fred, for rising to the call that I just made. If nobody else wants to come off mute to say anything else, I'm giving you one last chance. But if not, because today's meeting is really about really sharing these reflections, I think to maybe close it out, I can turn it to Stella for some additional remarks, and then I think we'll adjourn after that. So just going to do a 1, 2, 3 just to see if anybody else unmutes. And I don't see anybody else unmuting, so Stella, please take it away.
I was still muted. Thank you, Andy. I really want to just echo everything that folks have already said. And I think, for me, it's always really helpful hearing what your experience has been engaging with us in this way. It's really informative and encouraging for me to see how many people we have who have been so deeply engaged in our work for so long and really have developed throughout the years that you've been involved a very deep technical understanding of what we do and just able to provide really solid and valuable advice to us on our work. And so as we look to expanding this group and bringing in new perspectives and new voices and trying to build up the ways that we can educate new folks so that they can build this depth of knowledge as well and come to us and engage in this way. All of your insights are incredibly helpful as we look towards doing that. I want to also echo just what my colleagues have shared. I think, on the direct advice giving side, for my work in particular, you've had a massive impact, this advisory council, on our engagement practice and our engagement program as it's developed over the last couple of years since I've been at the MPO. You've really helped us think through some key areas of growth of our program, including how we prioritize engaging with different communities and stakeholders, how we make sure that we're doing so equitably and that we're reaching the folks that we want to reach and that we may not be hearing from already. How we structure our activities, through a combination of virtual and in person. How we think about bringing more people in, as I said, providing some of that background education and knowledge in ways that's accessible to folks, all the way to, how we collect and analyze and report the data that we're getting from people that we talk to, including for things like the LRTP and the needs assessment that you've really spent a lot of time digging into. Just from like A to B of our engagement work. You've really been there kind of at every step and providing really valuable advice. So I just wanted to thank everyone for that. Also, a shout out for helping us think through, as I mentioned, kind of how we educate people and bring new people in, particularly in the context of the Community Planning Lab pilot program that we just did this past September, that I've presented about at our last meeting. That idea really came from and was really supported and pushed by Len and this group. So thank you for that. You know, I think over the years since I've been at the MPO, it's been really great having a group that has encouraged us to think in new ways and kind of like push the envelope of what's possible with our engagement work. And we really, you know, we look forward to really building on that, and taking those learnings and continuing to grow them and develop them through this restructuring process that we're headed into. I also wanted to just reiterate, I know I mentioned this, but we definitely really hope to keep in touch with each of you as this current structure of RTech comes to a close and as we go into this restructuring process. Tegan mentioned some continued opportunities to engage with the MPO and Sean as well. And I just want to reiterate, you know, please continue coming to us and sharing with us your thoughts and ideas. You can always come to MPO meetings and committee meetings, any other public events that you see on our calendar. I also just want to put out there that like you can always reach out to me if you have a question about the MPO's work. If you want to get in touch with one of my colleagues about something really specific, if you want to discuss like bicycle and pedestrian issues or freight issues at the MPO, I can help you find the right person to contact. If you just want to talk about the future and where we're headed, please feel free. My inbox is always open. I did say I'll be reaching out, and I certainly will be reaching out to each of you over the next couple of months as well. But I just wanted to put out there that you can always reach out to me too. And looking ahead as we're working on this restructuring, I would love to sit down and have some one-on-ones or small group meetings with folks. So I'll be in touch about that. If you want to do that in person over coffee, if you want to have a phone call, you know, please let me know what works for you. But again, I really hope to continue the conversation as we head into this process, and really make sure that we're taking in, you know, all of the ideas and expertise that you have to share with us as well. And we'll keep you updated on our progress as well as we go through this restructuring process and into the new year. And I actually have one more thing on the screen, if I can pull that back up. We, as part of just recognizing all of your contributions and the time and energy that you've invested into the Advisory Council over the years. Quick preview, and sorry to put you on the spot here, Andy, but we prepared some certificates that we'll be sending out to you. So you'll also be hearing from me about those. Just another way to thank you a little bit more officially. But yeah, I think that's it for me. But again, I really look forward to keeping in touch with everyone. And thank you again for just all of your commitment for the time that I've been a part of this and long before myself as well.
Thank you, Stella. I know I see some virtual clapping and all that stuff, and I'm going to do some video, you know, jazz hands and all that. And I think I will just say thank you as well, too, for folks who've been able to share some reflections with your words. I'm seeing some stuff also in the chat as well, too. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can also take a look at the chat. This is actually a really great way to spend the afternoon, was just saying thank you and offering appreciation. I think officially, I guess I have to ask for a motion to actually conclude the meeting and adjourn, but I don't think we need to take a vote. So would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make the motion to adjourn the meeting and see you all soon, I hope.
Yeah. Second.
Thank you. Yes. Congratulations to Owen as well too, on a retirement. There's a lot of changes going on. Everybody, please do take care. And I guess that concludes today's meeting. Thank you, everybody.
You all.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Bye.